Well, it's the 14th of May, 2020, I guess I should say. There goes my crazy neighbor Larry. I decided to grow some herbs in some wicking buckets this year. You might be able to see I have a spout here on the back side where the excess water comes out the back, and that's stevia. And there's some lemongrass. I put these in the buckets. It's unbelievable, but this, if you can see it in the red there, the pineapple sage is already trying to bloom. That's a prolific plant, not very difficult to propagate, and just cut you a little bit right here and stick it in the dirt and it'll grow another plant. He doesn't like his first day in the sun, but that's hyssop, like in the Bible. Purge me with hyssop. It's actually mint family, supposedly. You can see the tag there, it says hyssop. And it makes a pretty purple flower. Anyway, I decided to grow these herbs in the wicking buckets. I put them in the buckets several weeks back and have had them in the greenhouse. We have just had our dogwood winter. Here's some kale and some onions from the store that didn't do well. I hope that they'll bloom and I can obtain seeds from those. This parsley I grew in this wicking bucket last year. This is the second year parsley. It's really a biennial, and you can see with the wind and settle down a little bit, you can see that it's getting ready to bloom. Here's the cluster at the top right there. And this is kale from last year. Here's the seed pods. I've allowed it to bloom and let it go to seed so I can capture some seed off that. And they get quite tall. And this guy's got quite a bit of seed pod right here on the top. So those are wicking buckets. Actually, from last year, I replanted the onions and the kale. You can see the tube where I water it. And then when the reservoir fills up to a certain level, then it'll overflow, and you know that you've given it sufficient water. So kale and a beautiful flat leaf parsley that'll bloom like crazy pretty soon. Hopefully the monarch butterfly larva won't eat it up, but that sometimes happens. And this is a wicking bucket that I haven't done yet. It's just a big feed bucket, and I'll drill a hole around 4 or 5 inches up from the bottom down in this area here, and then we put in some hollow, you can use coffee cans or water bottles. Sometimes I use corrugated pipe, and then you put in a landscape covering over that, fill it in with dirt, put your filler tube, and then fill it up the rest of the way with dirt. This, you can see the overflow down here at the bottom. And I grew tomatoes in this last year. I plan on putting Brussels sprouts in there. And this one I'm going to put about a 6-pack of chard in it. And this is something I planted a few weeks back with chard. Really, we shouldn't see the purple leaves like this so much. They should more be the green like this. Of course, chard is in the beet family. It's really a type of beets that you grow for the leaves. And this is you can see the marigolds back there today. Our Blackberry Winter finally went by. It was about 5 days. We had a couple of nights that were freezing, 31, 33, several nights in the 30s. So finally our Blackberry Winter has gone by. Everything got moved out of the greenhouse today. We'd have to put the shade cloth on for everything to tolerate the heat. You may hear the fan running in the greenhouse. I have a few projects still left in there that need to get moved out. And the kiwi suffered this year. You can see the cold weather burned it out because it had already started budding. I've never gotten fruit off of this. You can see the bigger leaves there. but I've got about 7 plants, but apparently I don't have any males, I think. And here's a table of geraniums. We started all those from seed earlier in the year. And there's some toys for the grandchildren. Water, this is saved up rainwater. We recycle the milk jugs and and water jugs too, and save our rainwater in those. And this is a barrel where I catch rainwater. And you can see here that I've moved out a bunch of begonias. And here's several tables, three tables here worth of begonias, and mostly coleus. The giant ones are called Kong coleus. If the lighting is good enough that you can see those, they get quite large. And this is an outside look of the grow room. All that plastic, 2 layers, one inside, one outside, will have to come down. I built all that for free, really. Here's a bunch of our rosemary, and this is an oregano that I did in a wicking bucket last year, and that looks really good. But all the plastic has to come down. Just a quick look at the grow room. We hold up to about 80 flats in here. There's my 100-year-old $50 wood stove that I've used for many years, and there's begonias down underneath, hiding in the shade. So we've moved everything out of the greenhouse, and time to get things planted. I put out 27 early girls. Here's the grapevine. It also got burned back like the kiwi did. And you can see the greenhouse out there and the fans running. And I built an arbor in the place of the 16 feet that the tree took out last year. And I've got all my tomatoes and peppers and some basil and what have you down there. So lots of stuff going on. That's where I burned that forsythia bush out and resowed clover. And you can get sort of a bird's eye view of the garden. There's the early girls that mostly perished in the freezing weather. Sometimes the Blackberry Winter is only like lows of 38, 40 degrees, and you get a light frost and everything's good. But this year it didn't happen that way. So thanks for taking a minute and showing you around. Maybe another time I'll do one of all the raised beds where we have all of the greens and lettuce and spinach and stuff growing. The stevia right here. Also, you can see I've cut it out there. I'm rooting those. You can propagate that pretty easy, and you can also just take a leaf and pinch it off. Has a very sweet taste. It's a good substitute for sugar. It actually helps your body to process glucose better. So if you use this instead of white sugar, it has a little bit of a green taste to it. You can dry it and crush it up, and you know, just takes a little bit of it because it's very strong, very sweet. But it's, again, white sugar inhibits your body's ability to process sugar. It's not a good thing to use, and this is a good substitute. This is actually among the regimen of things that you might use to battle diabetes, along with coffee, cinnamon, chromium polynicotinate, easy for me to say. Alrighty, well, I'm out of here.